welcome to 4 Hours of Fuji. This is the second round of the Asian Le Mans Series. I am Nadia Nash, greeting you from the foothills of magnificent Mount Fuji, and we are more than happy to be back here at Fuji Speedway. I will be down here on the grid and also in pit lanes, closer to where all the action is happening, but we've also got our commentators up in the studio. Let me introduce to you one of our commentators, Jeevan Selvanathan.
Thanks, Nadia. Things are looking great up here in the commentary box for what is to be a very significant race. Welcome to all, wherever you are watching in the world, to this Asian Le Mans Series event. Lots to come from the LMP2, P3 and GT classes, of course. But for now, let's get back down to Nadia on the grid.
Help me welcome Graham Goodwin, the editor of dailysportscar.com and one of our commentators. How are you?
Cold. It's very cold here and a little bit wet as well, which is a bit of a surprise this morning. One or two of the cars had a bit of a problem actually even coming out the pit, so I think we're expecting some fireworks on lap one. They've not really had much opportunity with any kind of wet conditions at all. It's not wet yet, but that rain is in the area. We have got a little bit of rain falling on the second part of this track, and that could catch them out too.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Graham. Always nice to get your insight on things, and that was Graham Goodwin, one of our commentators, but let's hear it from the other commentator up in the studio, Jeevan.
Thanks, Nadia. Weather conditions, just one of the factors that could prove significant over the 4 hours of Fuji. As you can see, just over 20 minutes away from the race, but for now, let's get back down to the grid.
Yes, now we can't make this happen without great partners, and of course Michelin is still with us. We have Patrick Diaz, the Asia Pacific Motorsport Director of Michelin, with us. So sometimes we get cold weather, sometimes we get hot weather. How is that going to affect tyre performance?
Today it will not be an easy play for the teams because we are particularly cold weather. We are around 10 degrees on the track, which is even a little bit lower than last year. We had to choose a medium or hard compound, and the team has to play with that, which is not an easy trick. We're confident that we should be okay. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Love to have you with us. And yes, Michelin has been with us since the start of the season. Let's check out some of those moments from opening rounds in Shanghai.
Well, started under grey skies after fog early this morning, and then there was drama from the off. Contact between the 22 and the 8 Spirit of Race and the United Autosports car, but Alexander West and Phil Hansen back on the grid. Close contention too in the Porsche Endurance Cup, which joins the Asian Le Mans Series here. Modern Motorsports went to the front, stayed at the front. Some dramas late on in the race. In GT, it was close to the two Ferraris staying in the mix. The late addition of the AMG, spectacular, and a spectacular for the wrong reasons. The number 88 Audi falling back into the mix after a fire in the pit stop cost them a minute after leading convincingly. 11 car guy Ferrari came to the fore and put smiles on the faces in the Ferrari garage. Contact between the 25 and the 79, and indeed the Panis Barthez car getting involved in that. Bad day for the Jackie Chan DC Racing team. A great battle between Colin Noble and Wayne Boyd in LMP3 that went on for 3 laps, wheel to wheel, nose to tail. Coming through though to take the win would be the 13 Inter Europol team from Poland. A second consecutive win after taking the win last time out in the season finale in Europe. They do the same for the season opener here in Asia. What dramas lie ahead for this little team? Dramas very early on. The early leader, the 24, out with mechanical trouble. Near disaster for the chasing pack. An actual disaster with the lost wheel nut, and then a wheel for another leading car, the number 1 Jackie Chan DC Racing Orica, out of the race on the spot after that. Watch the little grey nut leave the scene. There it goes, and there goes the big black roundy thing to join it. Well, stony faces, but I'm sure joy within. In LMP3, Pipa Durrani came through and built on the fabulous work done by his 2 co-drivers, and it came down to a battle between this car, the 22, Phil Hansen and Paul Di Resta. But, the number 8 managed to do better on strategy, do a little bit better on pace. Pipa Durrani would bring home the number 8 Spirit of Race Ligier for the first win of the first race of the 2018-19 Asian Le Mans Series, the agile 4 Hours of Shanghai. They'll be delighted with that. The Swiss flag team, with the Swedish, French, Brazilian combo, come home, take the checkered flag to delight from the pit wall. There's the two other drivers. There's the crew members. Alexander West, the blonde man on the left-hand side there. Comme Ledegaard with his back to us will leave Shanghai in a very happy state and greet Pipo Derani underneath the podium before going to taste the champagne.
Here is the full track map, 4.563 kilometers, 16 turns, 9 rights, 7 lefts. Turn 1 dipping steeply into 2 and 3. That heads to the 100R curve, 4 and 5. Then the hairpin of 6 and 7. And then heavy braking as they go uphill through 10, 11 and 12. And then 13 through 15, which is essentially the setup back onto home straight.
Hi everyone, this is Pipo Derani and I'm gonna take you around Fuji Speedway for a lap in yesterday's practice for the 2018-19 Asian Le Mans Series Championship. Approaching turn 1, very difficult and late braking zone. Very important to brake late and to have a good exit. It's basically the only corner from sector 1. Now we're approaching turn 2, a very quick left king, which makes part already of second sector. You need to nail the inside curb, otherwise you can run wide. And now the nicest corner on this track, which is 100R, very long right-hander, and difficult for braking zone as well for turn 5 because you come very, very quick. Another important corner leads to a straight going to third sector. You need a good exit there. It's a passing opportunity as well going to the hairpin. And now in turn 10, which is another slow corner, a hairpin, you need to prepare the exit for the second apex. And now the third sector, which is a very tricky sector in this track. It's probably, it invites you to brake late, but it's very easy to overdrive, so very, very difficult here, especially on old tires. And now going to the last corner, which again leads you to one of the biggest straights on the calendar. You always want to focus on the exit, but also very important to carry the minimum speed. And now you can see a little bit of slipstream going down the straight, which is very, very big, well over 240, 250 kph, and that's a lap around Fuji Speedway.
Let's go to qualifying and have a quick look at what happened before Kyrgios hit their troubles. Qualifying at Fuji got underway and it was fast and furious stuff, with James Collado pushing hard, maybe a little too hard early on in the number 11 car guy. They won last time out. This is their home race. They'd be looking for better, and they get there by the end of the session. Before then, though, Dries van Teur in the number 88 Audi would make his way to the top atomic and scoring. We'd also see the Max Visa car at the top there too. Alessandro Pierguidi, another world champion alongside Collado, was pedalling the 51 Spirit of Race car. He'd head the times before the cars headed to the pits for a change of tyres. Collado, new boots on every corner on the bright yellow now car guy Ferrari, would bring the locally based car home with a spectacular qualifying effort to close the session. That's what it meant to the car guy team looking to get to Le Mans. And this is the best way to start. LMP qualifying for the P3 and P2 cars. Colin Noble and the number 79 Kyrgios Nielsen car headed the times for a while. Lost that lead though to a track limits violation on a very cold Fuji Speedway. That left Garrett Grist in the number 2 car. Well, driver of a lifetime for the young Canadian. He headed the times too, but it would be Nigel Moore, an established force in LMP3 in the Viper Nisa racing team from Malaysia, the number 65 car, coming through to grab their first pole position in the Asian Le Mans Series at Fuji Speedway. P2, early on, it looked very much as if Pipo Derani, race winners last time out in the number 8 Spirit of Race, Ligier, would be the dominant force. He headed the times, and convincingly so, coming into the dying minutes of the session. Andrea Pizzitola, after disaster struck the leading car in Shanghai, would be looking to get points on the board for the number 24 Algar Pro team. The young Frenchman would again top the times here in Fuji, and for a while again it looked as if this might be the dominant force. That was until Philip Hansen aboard the number 22 United Autosports Ligier came into play, and he put in a couple of blistering laps towards the end of the session which meant there was no time to respond from Pizzatola or from Durrani. Are we looking at a new force in LMP2 in the Asia Le Mans Series? Already a P3 champion, he was greeted by the team for his first pole position in an LMP2 car in Asia.
And that is the grid order. 22 from 24 front row, then the 8 and the 23, the second of the United cars. Get into the P2 and the GT cars with the 11 car, the bright yellow car on pole position, the local team from Car Guy. 20 cars it will be to take the start. And it's go. Phil Hansen gets away. Harrison Newey looking to the outside, up the inside, the Panis Bartas car, by this Buda race car. It's the 24 car, makes it into the lead though. Neat and tidy for the LMP2 cars. Everybody tippy-toeing around there. And the ARC Bratislava car, the 4 car half spin, recovers that but has stalled the car.
Well,
didn't see whether or not he fell or was pushed there, but I'm sure we'll get a chance to have a look at that again when the things sort themselves out. One of the LMP2 cars, the ASC cars, held up and right down towards the back of the grid. But it's the 25 car that had a tricky start, but 24 in the hands of Harrison Newey. Clean start round the outside. Phil Hansen took it easy, but another blinding start by the Vipanisa racing team. Nigel Moore is up to 3rd overall in an LMP3 car. This the man that led the race in Shanghai. At the moment, he's holding off LMP2 opposition ahead of both the 23 and the 35. Then it's the 2 United Autosports cars squabbling away. Eurasia, the Spirit race car dropping back into the pack as well, and the Inter-Europol car. Car Guy looks to have got away neatly. But,
well, as we get into the second half of this first lap, already a lot of incidents, and you called it, Graham, that it was going to be a bit of a choke point at turn 1. ARC Bratislava, we're still waiting for an update on what happened to them. It didn't look too good for them. We haven't seen them come through either.
And I think it's the 88 car of Antti Liu, the Audi that's made its way through to lead GT. It's gone by both of the Ferraris, and there it is, the 88. Then it's the Spirit of Race car, then the Car Guy car, so it's order reversed amongst those top 3. But 24 in the hands of Harrison Newey is clear, but a bit of a lock-up there for Harrison. Then through comes Phil Hansen. 3rd is that LMP3 car, then the 23 car in the hands of Salih Yoluc, the Turkish driver, and he's going head-to-head, wheel-to-wheel now with Mathieu Lehay in the 35 Panis Bartas. It's Nissan-powered Ligier on the inside there.
Oh, wheel-to-wheel stuff.
It is. 35 car looking for a way by, but you look not happy for that to happen through 100R. Mathieu Lehay, the more experienced P2 driver, but experience doesn't necessarily mean here that you go for any gap. You wait. He's going to look to see if he can tuck up to the outside now and go around. 300R, this is a tough place to pass. Yoluc squeezes him to the outside.
Well, it's very, very close stuff indeed.
But Yoluc is in the right position here to come through the chicane. This is a close-knit battle. Lehay is going to be looking to see whether or not his Judd Power car can deal with the Nissan up the inside here, and he makes the pass.
That was a great move on the inside, and well done from Mathieu Lehay and Panis Bartas competition. Another team that's going to be looking for a strong showing here at Fuji.
So yeah, there is a Spirit of Race car, and it's a real mix-up there. 3 cars in line astern from 3 separate classes, LMP2, then a GT car, then the LMP3 car, the recovering car of Tony Wells, up to 14th, 7th in the LMP3 class. So the order, just with 10 minutes here, and it really is a mixed-up order, quite extraordinary race order. Algarve Pro Racing just 2 seconds ahead now, because all of a sudden Phil Hansen's got the hammer down, under 135 last time around for fastest lap of the race. Nigel Moore, 3rd on the road in the 65 car, leading LMP3. So 3 British drivers at the moment leading, 1, 2, 3. Then Mathieu Lehay, fundamentally not British, in the 35 Panis Bartas competition. Ligier, neither a British, well, both French car and French team, of course. Then the 2 United Autosports cars, but it's a P2 and a P3 car line astern. And from 7th on the grid in P3, the winners last time out, Kuba Szymanski, you know what, I get this right.
Szymanski, yeah.
Every time, and I know it well, is running in 3rd position in LMP3. So a great run from the start of the race by the Norwich City liveried car.
But it looks like it's going to be outdone by Harrison Newey. Algarve Pro Racing really in it to win it this time after, of course, that unfortunate stop on the home straight at Shanghai that led to no points for them in round 1. And look at this.
Is this where we're going to get the change for 3rd position? I don't think Nigel's going to defend that. Mathieu Lehay tucks up the inside, sometimes not the grippiest part of it. Nigel sees whether or not there's an opportunity for the cutback, thinks better of it. His is all about a class battle. He'll take advantage of any mistake that comes his way, but he's not going to defend against that P2 car. Mathieu Lehay thrown into 3rd position. This is Nick Adcock and Chris Buncombe. It's the 2 car. The United Autosports car, and then the white car, Nick Adcock.
Wow, just pushing that Kuriakos out wide a little.
This is a battle for 4th position LMP3. So Chris Buncombe, a very experienced driver, winner of the Le Mans 24 Hours in LMP2 some years ago, part of a racing family, 3 generations of Buncombes.
But how about that, Graham? That's a great shot.
Gaggle of cars together, that's the GT lead battle, and the Audi looking to see whether or not it can do anything with the slipstream from the 35 car ahead, and does so. Is he going to go up the inside of both? I don't think so.
But that would have been.
Now that's a tricky one. You don't want to be messing with the curb there. You're going to find there's a little less grip on that side of the car, but certainly Ferrari found its way through. Almost worked for the Audi there, but not quite.
It was a good idea.
It was a great idea. 2 gentleman drivers duking it out here.
And it's also great to see on that shot just now that the difference in size between these LMP2 prototypes and the GT cars, these road-going GT cars, much higher off the ground. Beautiful, obviously.
That is what's going on with that tyre. Right.
Well, we did say that the
He's
Audi...
pitted the car straight away. Well, here it comes.
Early stop in just after half an hour completed. The 4 Hours of Fuji and Car Guy are in the pits. And let's get down to the pits now. And Nadia has some news from the pit lane.
Yes, you guys have been asking about what happened to Car Guy, that Ferrari there. We've got Kay with us. Kay, maybe we can get some updates from you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, honestly. There was collisions. I don't know if it was the Audi on a prototype. But honestly, there was nothing to the car. We had to do an extra pit stop for nothing. Now we are in a bad situation, so I don't know what happened, honestly.
There was no like tire change or something that happened in the garage just now?
Well, yeah, the diffuser was a little bit touching with the tire, so just for safety, we changed the tire. But honestly, it was a waste of a pit stop.
Absolutely, running wide there, the Audi. That's the 88 car. He did say that it was the diffuser, just a bit of tire rub there, which indicates to me that was contact from the rear, not the side, and that would explain why we couldn't see any damage on the side of that car, Jivan. And you know, maybe it was just a square hit up the rear under braking. Would be good if we could get a close shot of the 66 car to see whether or not there's any damage to the front of that second Audi. That's the 88. That's our new leader. It led. It had a drive-through. It now leads again.
Now we're getting to the point as we close in on the end of the first hour that Harrison Newey, of course, has so far put in an absolutely perfect run for this number 24 P2, and we should be expecting a pit stop soon.
Should be expecting a pit stop, I think, in around the next 5 minutes from this car. In comes the 25, so we are going to start now to get into the regular pit stops for these cars. Mark Patterson is going to get out of the car.
Which means Chris McMurray should be getting in.
It will be Chris. There goes Chris. Father to Matt McMurray, the youngest ever starter at the Le Mans 24 Hours. Chris, an experienced racer himself. This is the number 7 car. So this is Nick Adcock, had already had his dramas. No grip there. Car moves to the outside, and round he goes. It is this definitely greasy track.
Wow.
And nudges into the barrier. So let's keep an eye on the Kuriakos Nielsen Racing team. They're just checking that front bodywork to make sure it's secure. It's going to be a change of tyres for him, but it's going to be, I think, slicks going back on. We didn't see the tyres going in.
And there is some nose work.
There's an adjustment being made there. The 51 car there.
that is really slippy, and it is beginning to get very greasy indeed. And I do wonder if this rain keeps up. It's light rain, but it's simply not dissipating anywhere, is it? Whether or not people pitting a little later might seek them. I just don't think we're anywhere close to wets, though.
Now, as you can see, the bottom of your screen, just an update as to the class leaders. Well, Harrison Newey, even in these slower times, and he's now lapping at 1:49.698. That is, as Graham said, about 16 seconds slower than the tops that we've seen.
Into the pits from the number 4 car, Mira Konopka, and that looks like a driver change as well as Mira gets out of the car. The unmistakable frame of the team owner. So this is the leader.
And we just heard that this
they've had a spin as well.
Also had a spin, so
turn 1, and well, the Harrison Newey's put that car around as well, so that will allow Phil Hansen, who's just pitted, by the way, in the 22 car.
He's gone wide again.
This is we're getting to the stage. It has to be wets then at this stage. So this is the 25 car. We've already seen that car down pit lane once. Chris McMurray has clearly fed back to the team. No, that's not going to work. We need to be back in on wet rubber. So that's what's happening right this second. And with heavier rain coming, these will have been tippy-toe times for all the drivers. Anxious times. There is the 22 car. Now, is he going to get around to lead this race before the number 24 gets back out on its wet rubber?
Well, the car,
there's
there
the 24, on go the tyres, down comes the car off the jacks.
That's turn 15, so now...
No, the answer is 24 is going to still lead this race. Now, the difference in pit stop time, not that dramatic. Here they come. It's not going to be much between the two.
Well, there you go. That's a great shot there. You can actually see...
There comes the 24 car on the left-hand side coming out of pit lane. Where is the 22 car? I think it's that blur of light we can see. It is. And this is the battle for the lead, side by side into the first turn, and almost looks to turn in, but there's no room there, and he can't do the cut through. Oh, but he's gone wide on the new tyres, and through into the lead goes Phil Hansen.
Now, what, of course, made that happen was the pit lane speed limit, because, of course, Harrison Newey had to keep at that speed limit.
It's a long pit lane.
Philip Hansen just went straight flat out, and before you knew it, I think we've actually turned up with neck-and-neck racing, both of them on wet tyres now. This could be great.
And by the way, this is, at the moment, Vipanisa Racing leading the race just for a few corners again.
Second race of the season.
Absolutely, that Nigel Moore, now he's thought better of it, because he's still out there, of course, on his slick tyres.
And so as we get into this second hour, let's have a look back now at the first hour of the 4 hours of Fuji.
Well, into turn 1, it was side to side, and Harrison Newey managed to get through as Phil Hansen took a conservative line. Further back, though, there was contact in the pack between the 25 Algarve Pro car and the 4 car of ARC Bratislava in GT. It was about the number 11 car guy Ferrari coming to the 4, and then we think taking some contact, a little bit of tyre rub. Team made the conservative call and regretted it. That's dropped the number 11 car, the winner last time out, to the back of the GT pack. That put the Audis to the 4, the 88 and the 66 car lapping together for some little time. That order has now been swapped around. Then we started to get the impact of the rain on both the Ferrari, then the Audi, and lots more besides. The 88 car at the moment, well, expecting a call to the steward's room, I think. There were some issues around some, well, allegedly dangerous driving. Nick Adcock in the number 7 car went head-to-head with the number 2 from United Autosports, but Nick too would soon be in trouble with weather-related woes and a couple of off-track moments in the number 7. The courier cost Nielsen Ligier. There's some tight racing in the LMP3 class, interrupted by some showers. That was one of at least 2 off-track moments. The second one did a little bit more damage. 50 car in the hands of Marie Izioka, running straight on where grip there was naught, but the R24 car did make it back around. Nigel Moore, meanwhile, heroic stuff at the start of a race again, with further battles down through the field between the 23 United Autosports car, the 35 Panis Bartes car, through to the pit stops. Looked like being a comfortable run from Harrison Newey, as the 35 car took 3rd position overall from the storming start from Nigel Moore and the Vipanisa Racing team. the 35 LMP2 car, eventually pulling ahead a substantial time in third position from the Briton in the Malaysian entered Ligier. But it was the timing of the pit stops that paid off for United Autosports. Didn't look like it there, but running wide as he came out of the pits from Harrison Newey on his newly installed wet weather tyres as it got all very greasy indeed.
Just a word out for the Inter-Europol competition as well, as they've taken the lead in LMP3. We'll be back with that in a second. Let's get down to the pit lane with Nadia.
Yes, I am at Viper Niza Racing. We've got Douglas Crew in the car. Nigel Moore just got out. Oh, it's cold. I can barely speak. How are you? You did a fantastic stint out there, leading the race at one point, of course, for your class. And how's Douglas doing it?
Yeah, no, it's we had a really good start. We knew we were going to get past a few of the P2s at the beginning, so we made the most of the first lap or two, and then once we got a decent lead, 7-8 second lead over the other car, over the United car, we just sat there, started looking after tyres, nice and steady, enjoying it, and then the weather came down, and then it started getting, yeah.
I don't think going to affect the overall order. I think Francois Rio can get in and out in time to make sure that he retains that position.
And of course, this all plays in the fact that we are still into the second hour now, and therefore there's plenty of time for these strategies to actually evolve.
Third place overall runs down pit lane now, and that's the drive-through penalty from Panis Barthez competition. Francois Rio with that penalty we heard about just a few moments ago. Now, is that going to give time for, I think he's maybe a lap up, you know, on Guy Cosmo, and looking at it, that's because the 23 cars made 2 pit stops. That's why there's a lap between the 2 of them, and that will be because they stopped earlier and then had to stop again for wet weather times.
Really, the timing for those pit stops now looking crucial, and it was those earlier teams that have come in. Philip Hansen, of course, being the biggest example of that.
We've got the 88 car back onto pit lane. David Chen brings the car back in. I wonder if he switched it back.
Plenty of battles happening on track, some which will take a little bit of time to catch up.
What is that on the top of that car?
Yeah, it looks like a piece of plastic. That couldn't have been put on by, is it tape?
If that is tape, if that's in any way blocking that...
Well, Graham, and I have to say, it'd have to be very coincidental if a piece of plastic actually managed to cover the airbox.
We've seen it before. We've seen the car
that well.
I can recall in a race not that long ago, team absolutely perplexed as to why the car was down on power, running wide there from the 66 car.
Well, it's turn 1 again, isn't it? And as you said, it's that roller coaster drop-off that has been causing a lot of incidents. The wipers back on again.
That's the Viper for Visa and not Visor, and the 66 car leading this class. And that is the GT Am car, by the way, at the moment. And it's all been down to the fact that they've had a relatively incident-free race. Harrison Newey, reigning Asian Le Mans Series overall champion, comes up to go by the V12 engined Aston Martin. Last international series competition, we believe, for this car. There's a trouble there. That's the R. Well, that's right in the middle of the
dangerous
track as
position.
Well. That's the R24 car.
Second time off for the R24 car. That's Sayaka Kato, who was, of course, the last-minute replacement. We did say we were going to update you on what happened with that car. Well, Sayaka literally heard that she was going to be driving this LMP3 car, a class of car she's never driven before.
Absolutely.
After an unfortunate incident that happened to Anna Inotsume in free practice.
50 car comes to a halt.
So this is Sayaka Kato.
Team manager of that car. That was out still on... Well, that would explain the spin, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
That car was still out on slick tyres for this glorious Aston Martin V12 engine. And the first international appearances in customer hands for this car's successor will come next weekend in Abu Dhabi. No doubt we'll see examples of that in the Asian Le Mans Series next season. But TF Sport, multiple title winners and a variety of GT race championships around the world.
A little bit of a swing out there, and that's proving more of a difficulty for those two United Autosports cars.
It's a much more of a difficulty for the 3 than it was for the 2. That was the 2 going by and getting a lap back from Christian England. Christian England rather more tippy-toe. The 2 car now in the hands of Garrett Grist, Canadian driver. Quite Canadian conditions here at the moment.
We had loads of nice new slick tyres to use, but apparently not. So it started spitting on the outlap, and it was difficult to judge when to come in, but obviously we started at the back because of a technical problem, so that made it a bit difficult getting through the traffic as well. But I guess I'm from Britain, so we're used to it raining, and that's sort of helpful.
And this is the 35 car, which I think has just lost the position. It has. I think if we get a wider shot from that, that's the 8 car with Comledegar just recovering track position. But I think Guy Cosmo has just gone by Francois Rio to take that position on pace.
Now, as we are into the 3rd hour, let's have a look back at the 2nd hour.
Well, trouble on pit lane with a penalty going the way of the 88 car. It was dramas galore for the Tianchi Racing team, holding a 1-2 in class. And, well, regular pit stops, not so regular pit stops. That put the only GTM runner to the fore in the GT class. Max Visa making hay as others spun around him. Misdemeanors galore. Douglas Koo came out into the fray for his first look at these kind of, well, rather more British weather conditions. And that left us with a battling pair at the lead in LMP3 between the United Autosports car trying to catch the Polish flagged Inter Europol team looking for a hat-trick of wins across Europe and Asia. It was the Norwich City liveried car that made good as Christian England ran wide, still on slick tyres. It was a tricky moment for the R24 Ligier, and a trip to race control for an explanation from the team manager. Kuba Shimoski putting in another great stint. Philip Hansen, meanwhile, battling away with Harrison Newey for the first 2 hours. Smart pit work and a bit of a problem for the 24 car just after Phil Hansen had been pushed wide. Reversed those positions with the 22 car, United Autosports coming out the winner. Trouble for the Spirit of Race car in the hands of Comledegar just aboard the car. Ran straight on at turn 10 and into and through one of the barriers. Jean-Baptiste Lehay, the younger of the Lehay brothers, at home with his wife. They're expecting a happy addition to the family this weekend. And oh, that's could have all gone very wrong.
Well, it has gone wrong for the Ferrari.
That is Alessandro Pierguidi aboard that car. So Oz Negri has handed over the wheel to the world champion. So wouldn't have been expecting, perhaps, not quite sure why. It's all a little bit squirrely, but he took that decision early.
Now let's get down to the pit lane and see who Nadia is talking to.
The plan was always to do half and half, me and Andrea. I had a really good start. I got ahead of Hansen going into the first corner. I just broke a little bit later and then cut him off. And then the slicks were really good. The balance was really good. We knew that in general through practice and qualifying, we always seem to warm the tires up later than everyone else. So the first couple laps we were struggling a little bit. And then the tires came in and we just pulled away from the field really easily. I just pushed hard, but not too hard. And I was really happy. Then it started to drizzle, and I made 2 mistakes, and he caught up a little bit, and then again I pulled a massive gap. I was really confident when it was drizzling on the slicks, and then we made a late call to box and go to wets, but it was too late, and the other guys all went a bit earlier, and we lost a lot of time doing that.
But there you can see Pierguidi behind the white and blue Ligier. So this is the gap for 3rd to 4th in GT, and at the moment 4 seconds quicker on that lap. Alessandro Pierguidi. Now that might be to do with the state of the tyres. Here comes Pierguidi looking to get by the little Ligier.
What's interesting is Andrea Pizzatola is in the pits, but we'll get back to that soon. Right now, let's get down to the pit lane to chat to Nadia.
Kuba Shimokovsky with me. So you were in the car for a double stint. You passed the car on to Martin in a really good place. How are you feeling?
I feel great, especially because the conditions were very, very difficult, especially in the first stint when it started to rain and we were on slick tires. But I think we made the right decision to pit in when we did. I think some guys pitted later than we did, and we gained a lot on it. And after that, it was just maintaining more or less the gap to the cars behind.
So interesting changes happening here at the 4 Hours of Fuji, closing in now. It's around about Well, 1.5 hours to go, as you can see on the top of your screen, as that 25 car comes out again.
That's the number 8 car just in his mirrors. Spirit of Race in the hands of Tom Lodegaard, coming back into contention in the overall positions here. His laps down after the troubles with that car earlier, but he's lapping far, far quicker than anybody else. In the 137s, even against Andrea Pizzitola, he's a couple of seconds quicker than that.
Yeah.
And that will be because those tyres have been on that car for longer. There's heat in the tyres.
Yeah.
He's getting more grip out of them.
At the moment, it's really difficult. We made a real basic balls up of the first one. We had extra, not fuel, we were very good on fuel, and we were conserving our tyres in the first stint. So we just pulled a bit of a gap, and then we were managing fuel, which enabled us to go a couple of laps longer than you saw on the other car. But in those 2 laps, because it's so cold and the little bit of rain we had, it was such a difficult thing to do to make the call. So we left it down to the driver, and literally by staying out that 1 more lap, we lost 15 seconds.
So it's Paul di Resta beginning to get onto the kind of lap times that we've been seeing from Andrea Pizzitola, but that gives him a steady 20-second gap to actually have a look at.
As you see, the Spirit of Race is coming in on the inside and denied by James Collado there, but there he is. He should be coming through now.
Remember, these both operating from the same garage, next to each other indeed, in a 3-garage trail. I think we've got, though, a real battle right now for the LMP3 lead. Now, looking to see why that is. Martin Hipper's lap time went right off last time, and it's about a second. He looks again to go by, and again Collado. This time, well, he was taking his own line, but I'm afraid the number 8 car, the hands of Tom Lodegaard, rather overcooked it there. Let's have a look again. That was Gerrit Grist just going around. You could see Hipper going wide in avoidance. He could see that beginning to happen. Kai van Berlo just measuring these gaps in tenths as through comes, is that the 23 car? I think it is. I think under pressure from behind. Just keeping an eye on that gap too. So under 20 seconds is the lead gap. 10 seconds is the gap 3rd and 4th. Under a second is the gap in LMP3. And every time faster traffic comes through...
Looks like Kai has gone through.
No, that's the P2 car ahead.
Yep, that's actually all 3 United Autosports cars.
3 of the 4. In fact, all 4 in the same shot.
I think it's a decoy strategy, so that Martin Hipper doesn't actually know which one's coming.
Yep.
And look at that difference in speed in the pit lane to all these cars.
Oh, just a bit of a squirrely moment at the braking from the number 2 car as the 3 GT cars come through and are... Oh, and that's the 35
a big
car.
Spin. Well, it's a big spin out.
Paced. That is Mathieu Lehay. He was catching Guy Cosmo, but he's caught himself out there, I'm afraid. Not the first man to have got that one wrong.
He was just roughly 8 seconds behind Guy Cosmo. That's going to be pushed back a bit now.
Yeah.
I'll tell you exactly how long that is when he gets back onto the front straight, as our leader has now completed 100 laps. Andrea Pizzitola, overall leader and LMP2 leader, of course.
We'll see that again, I'm sure. Ran wide, half spin there. Almost drifted wide off the track, and that will have been under braking.
Now, this, of course, is the final hour of the 4 Hours of Fuji. Let's have a look back at the 3rd hour.
Well, weather had an awful lot to play here. The 88 car, one of a number of cars finding turn 10 in these conditions very tricky indeed. We had the lead battle underway throughout. The 51 car in the hands of Alessandro Perguidi also needed to go wide. It's a 23 car took avoiding action too. Car guy, having suffered the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune earlier in the race, powering back towards the lead as James Collado came into play, the current world champion, taking the brightest looking car on the grid back to the lead. 22 car in the hands of Phil Hansen made its way back to the lead and through into the pits, but it was a strategy call really that played the bigger part in the battle for the overall honours, with the 24 car in the hands of eventually Andrea Pizzitola making the call for slicks. The biggest battle though on track has been in LMP3 with Martin Hipper taking over the car from Kuba Shimoski. And almost throwing that back into the hands of United Autosports with the lapped car number 2, meaning there's a bit of a stumble for Hipper, but he would keep that gap through to this pit stop, just a tenths ahead, and then better pit work would mean a better gap by the time we came to the end of the hour. Bit of a stumble for the LMP2 AM leader, Guy Cosmo, but it didn't cost him 3rd position eventually, as the cars started to get back onto slicks at the earliest possible opportunity. The Panis Barthez car locked in a battle with Cosmo for 3rd, whilst the battle ahead would come to the end of the hour between Pizzitola and Paul Di Resta. That was the Panis Barthez car having its moment at turn 5. That would cost it an opportunity to get ahead of Guy Cosmo before the top of the hour. 20 cars started, 20 cars at the moment still running. Yes, we've had stumbles, yes, we've had off-track moments, yes, we've had penalties, but lots of pace, and none more so than the lead 2 cars. Andrea Pizzitola, though, all of a sudden is beginning now to lose a little bit of ground again. That gap with a 1:37.0, 16.7 seconds, because it was a 1:35.0 from Paul Di Resta. It is the Frenchman to the Scot, with the American Guy Cosmo leading the LMP2 AM some little way back in 3rd position, and increasingly under pressure again from the Panis Barthez car, and the number 3 car still trying to address the task of catching Martin Hipper. At the moment, just dropping back a little. It's 5.8 seconds now. It's been as low as something like 4 seconds after the last pit stops. It was just tenths before that. So it was the in and out laps and the work in the pits that made the difference. Darren Burke, by the way, is hammering along. That's the 3rd place car in GT, trying to refire the car. That's what the flame is up the rear of the car, but that's taken a spin in a very odd place.
Now,
what has happened there?
Well, he's back up again, but that's two spins that we've seen on the same lap. I'm tempted to say that the weather is, it just looks fine.
No, it's not raining. It's not raining. No. So what happened to the 66 car there? That will be to recover the 36 car. It's in an odd position. It's not quite in line of attack if you lose the car coming into that turn, but they won't want to be taking any chances. We don't know where the wheel went, of course, either. There's a safety car. Immediately in comes Paul Di Resta. Now, is this going to fall their way? Now, Andrea Pizzitola backs up the field. He'll get the hammer down now, and indeed gaps the rest of the field, with the exception of Paul Di Resta. What is going to happen in turn 1 here? Green flag, green light, go. Out they fan, where you've got quicker cars with slower cars behind it. Di Resta will look to see whether or not there's a mistake potentially being made ahead. There's not, but 4 wide coming into that turn won't go. Pipo Derani up the inside, impacts, I think, the 51 car there. They, I think, get away with it. That Spirit of Race LMP2 on Spirit of Race GT. Derani looking for a way through here.
And it looks like he did get through. Now, it's unbelievable that there was no damage to that car. It looked like it was a bit...
The other thing that happened there is Pierre Guidi unlapped himself there. So order is as they were coming into that green flag period, but boy, oh boy.
That's close stuff.
Van Berlo, by the way, is closed right back in. That is the blade battle side by side in LMP3.
And just before that, let's just get down to the pit lane to get Nadia's views on what's been happening.
That was really challenging. You know, it looked like we were going to have a dry race all day, and then this rain kind of creeped its way in. So we changed our driving order. They got Solly out of the car. I was going to finish the race, and then when they knew rain was coming, they put me in, so that way I could do the heavy lifting. I've got a little more experience than these two in P2 cars, so they're doing a great job. Solly had an incredible start. My stint was really challenging. You know, the conditions were sustaining themselves, and you know, I had a decent run in that first one. Made a couple of mistakes. Not happy about that, but considering everything we were up against, I think all in all it was a decent run. Patrick is in the car now. He's got a strong run to the finish. We're hoping he's going to enjoy closing the race and bring us home on the overall podium.
And this is all, of course, as you can see, right within a lot of traffic. Car guy just holding them up as they come through. Kai van Berlo looks like he's through past Darren Burke, maybe.
Well, Darren Burke is threading the needle between the GT leader and the LMP3 leader at the moment. Goes to the outside. He needs to do that because the fourth car on the train is the car challenging him for overall position and a podium position. That is Mathieu Lehay. Almost cuts off the rear of the Ligier.
Really interesting line from Mathieu Lehay.
Almost has to stop the car on its nose on the apex. Gets the power in, continues the fight. So the fight for third position overall, under a second. Patrick Byrne is only a couple of seconds back behind this. Wow.
Well, this is what everyone was hoping for, and of course what this is going to mean in terms of the championship. We're going to find out in about 19 minutes. Right now there's plenty of permutations that could come to pass based on this, and look at that for a screen after 3 hours and 40 minutes essentially, and under 10 minutes now, as you can see on the top of your screen.
Pipo Derani, by the way, with 9 minutes to go, is now just 41 seconds back from Patrick Byrne, and 4 seconds quicker last time around. That's going to be the weight of the frustration on him. He just can't do enough in the available time he's got in the car to make that difference.
Well, it's also, it would be, in terms of his options in front of him, it would be the best thing to do, go as fast as you can, because you never do know what's going to happen to that car in front of you. It could suddenly go a lot slower in the last couple of laps, and you know, you just have to be as close as possible. So I suppose it's the MO for each of these drivers to actually go off and just drive as fast as you can.
And Car Guy, in the hands of James Collado, looks safe as houses right now. They'll be utterly delighted with this. We have under 7 minutes to go, but Andrea Pizzitola right now, a man who's done a lot of his LMP2 racing with the Algarve Pro team and has brought talent to this equation rather than budget, and that is a rare thing in international motorsport nowadays.
That is a stark stat. That is, we're looking at the race, at our race timings here. I think the max after that is 5, and that was from Panis Barthez and United Autosports.
It's a slap on the wrist, by the way, for Pipo Derani, who gets a black and white flag for driving standards after the safety car. That would be a rather spirited run back through the field, I'm sure, from Pipo. Trying to make
enthusiastic.
I think he's angry, actually. I think he's actually angry. Both these crews, the number 3 and the number 13, have put on one of the races within the race, and that's another of the joys of mixed class sports car racing, is if for whatever reason you've not got a race at the front, you've got a race somewhere in one of the classes. You can be assured of that, and that's been a big part of the entertainment here at Fuji Speedway. But, the 24 car, we said when they came into this race, needed this result, needed a maximum score, and Andrea Pizzitola and Harrison Newey have got just a few turns left to be able to deliver that for Sam and Stuart Cox for Algarve Pro after disaster in Shanghai.
And it was Pizzitola behind the wheel of that 24 as well.
He's now about to go by the LMP3 leader. If he does that, that's the race over at the line for LMP3 as well. There's the 3. Of course, the irony here is if he doesn't do that, it's going to show the gap at the end of this race as a full lap. That fundamentally wasn't. That is the race win for the Algarve Pro Racing team. They will be utterly, correctly, rightly delighted with that. Disaster to triumph.
A very happy Algarve Pro Racing team. Harrison Newey, the current defending champion of the Asia Le Mans Series, being the first person to greet Andrea Pizzitola. To the LMP2 podium, ARC Bratislava very happy with their third place overall. Solid showing from all 3 drivers, with United Autosports and Algarve Pro in second and first. And it would be more champagne for ARC Bratislava, as they would also take the LMP2 AM trophy here in Fuji. On the LMP3 podium, the green race suits of Inter Europol were again seen, but this time in second spot, as Matt Bell, Kai van Berlo and Christian England took the win. And it was cheers from the home crowd as Car Guy took their second consecutive GT class win ahead of Spirit of Race and Tianchi Racing. Let's have a look back at the highlights.
Well, 4 hours that we didn't expect to be weather related, but they certainly were. To the fore at the start went Harrison Newey. Trouble early on from Kargai as they came in for a pit stop that they would later regard to have been a mistake. That didn't affect things as things would turn out. Nearly 3.5 hours later, the number 11 car out of the mix to start with, but then battling back from there on in for the local team. There they were. At the end of that race, utterly delighted with what would emerge as being a race win. Well, there were trips and falls for a number of teams. The 50 car still out on slicks on a drying track. But the story in LMP3 was a fantastic battle between Inter Europol and the number 3 crew from United Autosports. It looked for so long as if that would go the way of the Polish flag team, but the safety car threw a lifeline to the number 3 squad from United Autosports. They would eventually come home with a cracking win for the Yorkshire-based but US-flagged team. A little further back, it ended up as a 3-car battle. Looked like it might be a 2-car battle for third between the 23 car, the 35 car, and this crew, the number 4 from ARC Bratislava. No one really would have expected that what was going to occur here was that the 23 and the 4 car would be doing battle for an overall podium finish. Behind, though, or rather ahead, it was about the 22 from United Autosports, the 24 from ARC Bratislava, and that had more twists and turns than the Nürburgring. It would eventually go the way of the blue car, the 24 car from ARC Bratislava, but that wasn't really done until the final 15 minutes. It was the safety car that threw a spanner in a few of the strategic works, but what that gave us was the last half hour absolute to savour. Given the opportunity, it came down to Andrea Pizzitola versus Paul Di Resta, and against the expectations of some, it was the young Frenchman that actually had the upper hand. The Judd power in the back of his number 24 car, trumping the Nissan power in the 22, and whether or not it was to do with the way the car was set up, the strategy, the tyres, or whatever, by the end of it, it would be the 24 car bringing home an invaluable win after disaster struck the team whilst leading at Shanghai. 24 brings 25 points away from the 4 hours, and Harrison Newey pat on the helmet for his teammate Andrea Pizzitola. That's what that win feels like. Absolutely fantastic stuff.
Here are the full results. A 16-second margin for Algarve Pro as they take a much-needed win in LMP2 over United Autosports to start their championship campaign. United would still pick up a class win in LMP3, though, with Inter Europol coming in second, while James Collado brought home another GT win for Kargai and his team. Perfect for them so far in the 2 races this season. Graham, thanks for joining me in the commentary box today. It has been fantastic watching the 4 Hours of Fuji up here. We urge you to join us in the commentary box, of course, for those 2 races. Right now, it's back down to Nadia.
Yes, what a race it has been here at Fuji Speedway. As usual, we can expect spectacular racing right here. But for now, we're all, I think, looking forward to get out of the cold and get some heat from Buriram in Thailand, because that's where the next round of the Asian Le Mans Series will be. And I guess if you want more information, of course, you can always visit asianlemonseries.com and we'll update there for any developments. And of course, on all our social media platforms. And I guess till then, I am Nadia Nash saying see you soon in round 3 of the Asian Le Mans Series. Goodbye.